All right, guys, we're going to give it a couple more minutes to let everybody start firing in here. See a lot of new peeps or people that just wanted to hop in on the Harvest call. So welcome to everybody that hasn't experienced the Harvest yet. It's an amazing community. We got our elite ops family in here. We got, elite real estate professionals from all over the country hopping on here too. So this is exciting stuff, man. And this is what it's about. And I know you guys are going to get a ton of value from this. So we're going to give it a few more minutes. Let everybody start popping on in here. Jeremy Fife, my man, nice to see you as always.
Hey, happy to be here.
Dude, I gotta tell you, man, you're dude, the way you treat your company, dude, is just awesome, bro. Like, I just love seeing it. I wanted to give you a shout out on that, dude. You're always
appreciate that.
Just showing your love for them, man, and it's a true testament to who you are and why you guys are kicking butt out there. So good stuff, brother. Glad to see you.
Thank you.
All right. Linda, hello. Jamie, Jennifer, what's up? We got Trevor in the house. All right, everybody's Mr. Turpin, glad to see you on. Jamie, what's up? Mr. Webb, Alan, Kenny, Herb, what's up, my brother? Glad to see you. We got Coach Darrell from California. Heather, hello and welcome. I see, let's get it going here. We got Dr. Owens. Hello and welcome. We got Gladys, the Airbnb queen. I see you laughing. It's the truth. Hold on here. And as always, hold on. I see somebody asking me for the password. As always, hold on. Give me 1 second here. 1 second, guys, and I will get right into introducing. Hold on, Lysandra. I'm going to get it for you right now, my brother. Hold on. I don't think I copy and pasted the whole thing. For you, give me 1 second here. Boom. All right, Lysandra, this is coming your way right now. Birthday boy. Boom. All right, Mr. Meltzer, there he is. All right, good stuff. So, guys, let me just run through. I'm going to intro our next guest in about 1 more minute. Just want to make sure everybody's signing on here. We are on record. As I started, guys, welcome for everybody where this is your first call in the Harvest. I'm excited for you, and what a first call to be on and experience. We're excited to have you. Thank you for everybody else for making a commitment to yourself, your week, your mindset, just you as a human being to fire in all cylinders and crush your business personally and professionally. Our next guest, for those, I would please make sure you have your notepads out. Try not to multitask, guys. We are in the presence of entrepreneurial and just human being greatness. And, I never want you guys to miss something that can change your life personally and professionally. And sometimes people try and multitask. You may miss something. This will be recorded and dropped in, but just please make sure you guys are locked in. Years ago, I really went deep on my personal development journey. And what I would do is I would try and seek out some of the big entrepreneurs, the influencers, that really put out some amazing content. And, years ago, I started following Dave and just his relentless pursuit of not just making money in business, but also just being just as good with his happiness, with his health, with his family. I wanted the all-around picture. I wanted everything with success, not just money and be a train wreck as a father or just having terrible health, being a bad human being. When I followed Dave's content, I was like, man, if I could just picture success, this is where I need to be studying from. Then I'll speed up the story, but for the most part, I through direct message on Instagram, I chatted with his team. I took a train ride to New York by myself in hopes to meet him. Next thing you know, that led to me throwing a 50 for 50 birthday party for him in Philadelphia, where he was having 50 birthday parties to raise money to build schools in Africa. That's how incredible this human being is. And I had the opportunity to throw him a birthday party, and we raised, I believe, was over $10,000. Ever since then, we became, he's became a coach, a mentor, and a partner now. We got some cool things coming up. But for those of you that don't know, there's really nothing that he hasn't done in the entrepreneurial space at the absolute highest level. When it comes to running tech companies, the biggest sports marketing agency in the world. He's one of Forbes' top 10 keynote speakers. Business podcast built and sold. I mean, there's really nothing that he hasn't done. But what I will say is this: for everybody that we follow, there is not one person that's more accessible, that gives away so much shit that to me is worth millions of dollars every time you see him. Hey, join my free this, join my free that. If there's somebody who's literally every single day giving back to the world, making the world a better place, the best way for me to describe him is just an entrepreneur who literally travels the world and helps people. That is the best way for me to describe him. And this is like, we're going to go into time management. We're going to go into energy and manifestation. But when we talk about manifestation, when I was on that train ride going to New York, man, it's just crazy. Like right now, I got the opportunity to bring him to you guys. And this was shit that went on in my mind 4 years ago when I took that train ride in hopes that I could just shake his hand. And now I have the opportunity to bring him to every single one of you on this call. So Dave, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking out your time to empower the Harvest Elite Ops coaching community and just everybody who's signed on here, man. So thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Well, thank you for having me. And I love someone who has a nice, authentic introduction of what they feel about me. And I appreciate that, Devin, because I feel the same way about you. And out of the thousands of people that I'm blessed to be a part of and work with, I'm just so proud of Devin and the development in the pursuit of his own potential and following the values and the daily practices that make it easy and efficient and effective and statistically successful to get what you want. First, I believe life's about lessons, and the lessons will keep on coming until you learn them. Utilizing pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes as indicators that you have a lesson to learn, a better place to be, a better situation to be in, while you're protected and promoted at all times, not punished, is important. But I have a lesson about lesson that I'd love to share before I get started. And we will take Q&A, so I'll leave some time for Q&A. So hopefully I can clarify anything that may not make sense to you. But here's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned about lessons. There's two types of people. There's ignorant, arrogant people that won't write down or remember anything that I say. And they'll just think, yep, I got it. I know that. I learned it. Or I'll remember that. That's a great point. And then there's the ignorant, humble people that know that they don't know what they don't know and admit it. And they write down, unfortunately, everything that I say. And then both people, the ignorant, arrogant, and the arrogant and humble, end up in the same place with boxes of notes or files of notes or folders of notes. I went to undergrad, law school, business school. I've been in more workshops, personal development, masterminds than most people at 54. And I have boxes and boxes of notes. As an ignorant, humble person, writing down everything that I thought was important to me and end up not being able to access any of it. So the first lesson I'd like to teach you about being efficient, effective, and statistically successful is reposit the lessons that resonate with you only. Don't write down everything. Don't write down nothing. Don't codify anything other than that which resonates with you at your vibration or your frequency. And then more important than repositing that is create a system to access, because we have technology that didn't exist when I was in college, law school, or business school. Create a system to access the lessons that resonate with you and create stories around them that are representative of what you want out of that lesson, right? We tell ourselves stories. We manifest the attention and intention that we give to a lesson to create the coincidences in our lives. So if you're going to take away anything from today, make sure that you create a system to access the lessons that resonate with you, and then create your story around those lessons to manifest the coincidences that you want by paying attention to the lesson and giving it the 5 levels of intention: thinking, saying, doing, believing, and feeling as if it's already done. And I'm going to take you through some of these values, which I learned on the foot of my bed and wrote them down 16 years ago in 2006. When my life was an absolute disaster and everybody wanted to be me. I ran the most notable sports agency in the world. I was a multimillionaire, married to my dream girl, with anything and everything I ever wanted to buy, a golf course, a ski mountain, 33 homes in San Diego alone. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, I could afford. And I came from nothing. I came from a home with a single mom, 6 kids who packed my dinner in a paper bag and worked 2 jobs just so I could eat. And now I had everything in my early 30s, but I wasn't happy. And I sat on the foot of my bed, journeyed from a world of not enough, like I told you with my mom and my siblings, not enough of anything. Everything happened to me. I was a victim, to entering a world that I sat at the end of my bed of a world of for me, giving so I would receive. Everything was a trade and negotiation. I lived in a zero sum where if I received, somebody else lost. Everything was a comparison. Everything was quid pro quo. I lived in the false facade of philanthropy, giving for acknowledgement, not understanding there was a bigger and better world that existed. I enjoyed the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential to have more, to buy things when I wasn't happy, to buy more things when I wasn't happy, to buy different things when I wasn't happy, to buy things to impress other people, to impress people I didn't even like. And it was some ways even a worse world than the world of not enough. The world of just enough for me was even more scarce because it was such a zero-sum game that I was playing, that the giving to receive world that I was taught just wasn't doing it for me. And I surrounded myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. I was doing the wrong things, saying the wrong things, thinking the wrong things, believing the wrong things, and feeling the wrong things. Although to the outer world, I had everything. Not only was I a multimillionaire, married to my dream girl with 3 beautiful daughters under 8 years old, but I had access to things that even billionaires didn't have access to. I represented everyone in the name of baseball, football, and boxing, and had access to the sidelines at the Super Bowl, the cabins at the Masters, the Kentucky Derby, the Breeders' Cup, the ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, Grammys. But yet I sat on the end of my bed after telling my father 6 years earlier that I hated him, when all he was trying to do, he gave me a birthday present, a jacket with pockets that money couldn't buy me love or happiness. I told him, when he said to me, "You're just like me, son. I don't want you to be the richest man in the cemetery. Don't get lost in all the different money things that you're involved with. You got to see more out of life." And he gave me a jacket with no pockets, and he told me to hang it in my closet to remind me what life was about, not to be the richest man in the cemetery. And I told my dad 6 years earlier, as I sat there on my bed, that I hated him, that I was nothing like him, that he was a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, an overseller, a back-end seller, and I wanted nothing to do with him. 6 years after that, just 2 weeks before I was sitting on the end of my bed in complete misery, I invited my best friend, Rob. Now, Rob I'd known since the 4th grade. In fact, in the 6th grade, I asked Robbie to ask my wife, that is now my wife and has always been, to be my girlfriend at 6th grade camp. I was too afraid. So Robbie asked her to go steady with me. And of course she said, "No, tell him to ask me himself if he's wants to go out with me." And he embarrassed me and yelled in front of everyone, "Dude, she said no." And I threw an egg at my wife and threw rocks at her later on because I was absolutely in love with her from the day I met her in the 4th grade. But she wanted nothing to do with me. But I wanted to thank Rob for being a true friend. It always seemed like everybody else around me wanted something from me, but since I was 4th grade, Rob only wanted to be my friend. So I invited him into the back cabins with Curtis Strange, and we had the Net Jet party with Joe Montana and Wayne Gretzky and Warren Moon, and I invited to take him, to inside of the inside circle of the Masters. And when I invited him 2 weeks earlier, as I sat there on my bed, my best friend Rob told me he didn't want to go. He told me he didn't like who I was, he didn't like who I hung out with, and he didn't like what I was doing. I told Rob 2 weeks earlier, as I sat there on that bed, I told him I hated him, just like I told my father I hated him. I told him how dare he talk to me that way. I was trying to be a good friend, and I wasn't doing what those other guys were doing, and how dare he think so poorly of me. And he looked at me calmly and said, "David, you can lie to me all you want, but I'm just worried. Stop lying to yourself. I'm worried. I don't want to be around to see what you're going to become. A few hours earlier, the morning before, when I came home at 5:30 in the morning, completely wasted from going to the Grammy Awards with Little John, lying to my wife, telling her I had a business meeting. When I arrived about 12 hours earlier in my house, my wife, my dream girl, my inspiration was waiting for me. She told me she wasn't happy. She told me she was leaving me, told me that I better take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. And she thought I'd end up dead and didn't want to wait around to see it. I told her the morning before, as I sat there on the bed that next day, that I hated her. How dare her talk to me that way? Look around you. Who do you think made all this happen? I told her that I never wanted to see her again. And as I sat on my bed that day, thinking about how much I hated not only my father, my best friend, and my wife, but everybody else, I looked over in my closet and there was that jacket. That jacket just stared at me. I get choked up today because that jacket saved my life. My wife saved my life. My best friend Rob saved my life. And my dad saved my life. Because I looked at that jacket and I realized at that moment that everything was for me, but I hated me. I was a liar, cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. I didn't hate my dad, my wife, or Rob. I hated myself. And as I sat there on the end of my bed crying, thinking about what I wanted to become, I realized that all I had focused in on since I was 5 years old, living in the world of not enough as a victim where everything happened to me, and then 9 months out of law school being a millionaire, 3 years later selling our company for $3.4 billion in 95, on to be the CEO of Samsung's phone division, running Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, then making the movie Jerry Maguire about our firm, and running the biggest global marketing sports company in the world with Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback. As I sat there on my bed, all I could think about is stop thinking about what's coming and start thinking about what you're becoming. And so I took stock in these 4 values, which I want to teach you today, that I reconcile with linear time. The 4 values are simply, number 1, gratitude. That gives me perspective. Saying thank you every day before I go to bed and when I wake up has changed my life, and it will change your life. I have a 14-day gratitude challenge that I would love all of you to join. I'll put my email in the chat, david@dmeltzer.com. We'll put that in the chat. Join my 14-day gratitude challenge. Here's the thing about gratitude. Nobody in the world disagrees with me. Nobody's surprised when I tell them, hey, gratitude will change your life. Learn to say thank you before you go to bed, and when you wake up, within 30 days, your life will change dramatically. I sit on the Transformational Leadership Council with Jack Canfield, who I wrote a book with, Bob Proctor, who just passed, of course, Sharon Lecter and Mary Morrissey and Jim Quick and all the extraordinary Deepak Chopra, all the extraordinary world thought leaders. And everybody agrees gratitude will change your life. But here's the funny thing about it. As much as you're agreeing with me right now, and as much as if I asked you to raise your hand if you believe gratitude could change your life, by tonight, half of you won't say thank you. By tomorrow morning, another half of us won't say thank you. And within 3 days, almost all of us won't say thank you. Although we all agree gratitude will change your life, although I've studied physics, metaphysics, and quantum physics, I sit on the Transformational Leadership Council with the world thought leaders. I'm actually in the movie Beyond the Secret and Think and Grow Rich the Legacy with all the other thought leaders, all who teach gratitude in one way or another. Within 3 days, most of us won't even say thank you. Most of us might join the 14-day gratitude challenge, but within 3 days, they'll stop. That's how far in our own way it is. And the reason that we have no coherence, that we don't have the inability, that we don't have the capability of remembering what's important to us and doing it, is that we don't understand time. And I know Devin asked me to talk about the reconciliation of time with manifestation, to talk the reconciliation time within the context of values, reconciling time within the context of gratitude, of finding not only the light, the love, and the lessons in everything and everyone in an omniscient, all-powerful, omnipresent world of infinity, but to reconcile the linear time with it. Knowing that today we need to be realistic and work within the context of the man-made construct of time, 1,440 minutes to be productive, accessible, and gracious, 24 hours of activity we get paid for, activity we don't get paid for, activity that you have planned, activity you don't have planned, and even your sleep. To be productive, accessible, and gracious, and reconcile time within gratitude so that we can utilize coherence, the ability to remember, recollect, and recollect, and oh my gosh, something else, anyway, I rarely do that. Remember, recollect, and remember, remind. Gosh, there we go. See, even I can't remind myself. And ironically, right, what are we remembering, recollecting, and reminding to? Do you ever think about that? I love the words in, and I love the words re. Right? What are we reminding, remembering, and recollecting to? A greater source, an omniscient source, an all-powerful source. As I sat there on my bed, I shifted my paradigm. I no longer wanted to have and seek what was coming to me, more money, more health, more wealth, more happiness. I realized I had become happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I had to figure out what I was doing to interfere with it, to remind, remember, and recollect my higher self through gratitude. The second thing was forgiveness. See, if gratitude was going to give me the proper perspective, forgiveness would clear the interference by giving me peace, by being empathetic, by not just putting myself in other people's shoes, by being sympathetic, but empathetic, by forgiving myself so I could forgive others, which would give me peace. To live in ignorant humility that I don't know what I don't know. And after I had gratitude and forgiveness, I then looked at accountability. Most people, I went to law school, so I really believe this. Most people live in liability. They live in blame, shame, and justification. One of the mechanisms they use to live in blame, shame, and justification, to live below the line in liability, is the lie of the extra mile. Right? If I asked you right now, who here goes the extra mile? Everybody would raise their hand. You know why? Because most people go the extra mile every once in a while so that they can justify why they're not where they want to be, why they're not manifesting what they want. They go the extra mile every once in a while so that they can justify where they aren't. Kids are the best at this, right? My kid breaks curfew, comes home in the morning, is going to get punished, and I'm going to take her phone. By the way, I don't understand anybody that would ever hit a child anymore, because all you got to do is spend the money, buy them the best phone you can find. They would rather you beat the crap out of them than take their phone. So just take their phone. It's like taking their arm off. It's beautiful. And nobody cares. But anyway, my kid comes home, breaks curfew, and I take her phone. What does she do? But Dad, I'm a good kid. I got straight A's. Terrific. Go extra mile every once in a while to justify what you're not. That's what people do. I'm here to tell you, let's enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Go the extra mile every day. Reconcile time. Reconcile accountability. Because don't justify where you're not by going the extra mile every once in a while. Go the extra mile every day. You'll live in the empty mile. There's no competition there. I beat people with time. I live in the empty mile because I reconcile time with my gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability. I ask myself in accountability, what did I do to participate in the perception that you have of me? What did I do to participate in this activity, event, or circumstance, challenge, setback, or mistake, void, shortage, or obstacle? What did I do today to participate in what I'm not? And what am I supposed to learn from it? Knowing that I'm protected and promoted at all times, not punished, because I live not in the world of not enough, not in the world of just enough, but in a world of more than enough, not a value sum zero game, but a value add game, where the more that you receive, the more you can give, and there's more than enough of everything for everyone. I live in accountability with gratitude and forgiveness that allows me to effectively communicate or be inspired. See, most people live their life like a tube, food in, food out. They don't utilize linear time in the aspect of today in order to maximize the relativity of time of yesterday and tomorrow. They don't utilize effective communication with a source. The paradigm in the shift is one of faith and hope that you are not here to get more happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. You're here to figure out what you're doing to interfere with it. And the only way you can do it is to have faith that there's something bigger than you, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent source of everything for everyone that loves you more than your mom loves you. Your whole life will change. And I'm going to give you the 5 pragmatic tools to reconcile time with the daily activities in the linear time that you're given in the 1440 days to be inspired. Knowing that motivation and inspiration are 2 different things. Motivation gets you up, gets you back up, gets you started, gets you back started. Fear can motivate you, but it ain't going to get you there. It's going to drain your soul. It's going to suck your soul. But it will get you up and get you back up. You have to learn to transfer motivation to inspiration. And the only way to do it is to have the faith there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom. Where that shift occurred for me that day, sitting on my bed, thinking about how much I hated myself, even though I had everything I ever dreamed of. Most people take for granted what other people want. I had done one step worse. I took for granted for what I was dreaming of. And most people don't realize that a simple shift in the mindset, the heart set, and the handset can create a new world of more than enough for all of you to make a lot of money, to help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. I've never met one person that wasn't happy, that made a lot of money, helped a lot of people, and had a lot of fun. Not one person. My mission in life is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy, to teach them to make money, help people, and have fun. That's why I'm here. That's why I work with Devin. I'm looking for 1,000 of the Devins of the world that will empower another 1,000 of the Devins to empower another 1,000 of the Devins to make money, help people, and have fun. But you can't do it unless you have faith. You can have gratitude, you can have forgiveness, and you can be accountable, asking yourself, what did I do to participate in this? What am I supposed to learn? But if you don't have faith that there's something bigger than you, that loves you more than your mom, you're not going to get there. And why do I think that? As I sat there on my bed that day, I said to myself, wow, it's just like when I was 3 years old and I reached out to touch a hot stove. Now, my mom was a 2nd grade teacher. She raised 6 kids, all went to the Ivy Leagues, graduated summa cum laude. All of them with no money went to the greatest schools and impact millions of people today. And my mom never yelled at anyone, never hit anyone. She still, I'm 54 years old. I had a graduation party last Sunday. She still talks to me like I'm a 2nd grader. Oh, hi, sweetheart. Hi. Drives me nuts. She still, but when I was 3 years old, I remember reaching out to touch the hot stove and my mom slapped the crap out of me and yelled at me, no! I immediately started to cry. I never heard her yell, never heard her or seen her hit anyone. And now she had hit me. I looked at her crying. Why are you punishing me? Why did you hit me? Why did you yell at me? What did I do? I'm sorry. She hugged me immediately. My own mother hugged me immediately and said, what are you talking about? I love you. I'm protecting you. I'm promoting you. I'm not punishing you. That's when it all made sense to me. That I had faith in my mom. I had faith in my mom that no matter what happened, she would help and do her best to protect and promote me at all times, even if she didn't know what she didn't know. But now my whole life had changed because there is an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent source that knows everything for my best interest. Not like my mom who told me the internet was a fad and that if I went into the internet, I was going to blow my law degree and never make any money. Not like my mom or others who love me so much, but they don't know what they don't know. There's a source that knows everything so that when I receive pain, failures, setbacks, mistakes, voids, and shortages in my life, I know I'm being protected and promoted and hugged by that source at all times. I'm being promoted and protected, not punished. And so under the context of my faith, no matter what your religion, philosophy, spirituality, or theories are, just simple faith of there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, I'm going to give you the 5 daily practices reconciling time to make you more productive, accessible, and gracious, to create efficiencies, effectiveness, and statistical success in your life so you can make more money, help more people, and have more fun. I am not only going to teach you to appreciate in a value add world everything you have, and appreciate means to add value to what you have, to expand who you are, but to acknowledge it by believing in more than enough, knowing that giving it away, losing it, having it stolen or manipulated from you is just making room for more of what you want, not losing anything in a zero-sum game. It's an appreciation and acknowledgement. The only way you can recognize and acquire the knowledge or acknowledge what you have is to give it away, allow it to be stolen, manipulated from you, or cheated from you. It doesn't matter. The only way you can acknowledge and recognize what you have is to allow it to leave you. Why? Because I'm going to teach you how to ask. I'm going to teach you to have faith for almost all the time and to recognize the minutes and moments that you are interfering with you in everything that's already yours. Reconciling time, the linear time that you're given today, by creating daily practices that will change the relativity of time of yesterday and the relativity of time in the future. But you got to have faith. I should write a song and name it that. You got to have faith. Number 1, daily practice. Know your what. Don't know somebody else's what. Don't look for what's missing, what you don't want, or what you don't have, because you're going to get more of that what. Know what you want personally, experientially, giving wise, and receiving wise every single day, just for today. Realize that what I want today has to be realistic, but in a trajectory aiming towards something that's totally unrealistic in the future, because the time of the future is relative. The time of today is linear with 24 hours of activity. So know what you want today in a trajectory of what you think tomorrow and what other think tomorrow is impossible. But once you think what you want, you've gone from nothingness, a world of procrastination and feeling overwhelmed, a world of not knowing, into a world of possibility for the day. The minute you know what you want personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise, your nothing becomes a possibility, a mathematical advantage in the day. And once you know what you want, realize you can change your mind tomorrow. I hire people, not positions. I hire people in possibilities that know what they want and are willing to learn lessons by what they participate in and what they learn from it to change their mind tomorrow. I love people that change their minds, because I want to surround myself with open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people to create a community of sponsors and power sponsors, people who will help me and people who know who can help me and I can help. Because once, number 1, I utilize the daily practice of what I want, the daily practice number 2 is who can I help with what I want and who can help me. I have one prayer in the morning. May God put at least 10 people in front of me that I can help. And may God put at least 10 people in front of me that can help me with what I want, personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise. The minute you know who you can help and who can help you, your possibility turns into a probability, because you're living in spirit, inspired with your faith, your hope, connected to and through everyone else in a world of more than enough. Not a world of just enough, or not a world of not enough. A world of more than enough, a value add world that has everything for everyone. Simply by knowing what you want, and number 2, who you can help and who can help you. And then we reconcile it with time, with how. We study our calendars. We study our time, paying attention to, focusing in on the activity we have planned, the activity we don't have planned, and our sleep. And then we give it intention. What are we going to think, say, do, believe, and feel aligned with what we want for tomorrow in the future that are unrealistic? What we want today is realistic. What aiming towards is unrealistic in the future. It should raise the hairs on your arms. It should scare people. They should laugh at you, scoff at you, and make fun of you for what you want in the future, like empowering over 1 billion people to change the world. You know, when people laugh at me, just the same as they did when I told them I'd play college football someday, just the same way they did when I told them I'd make over $100 million, just the same way they did when I told them I was going to marry that girl that skateboarded by my house in the 4th grade that hated me in high school. They all laughed at me, scoffed at me, and made fun of me, and now they applaud me because I keep unrealistic long-term relative goals, why I'm very realistic today, by enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, by knowing what I want, who I can help, and who can help me, and how I'm going to get it done. With productivity as a lens of how much value I can provide, accessibility as a lens of how much value I can receive and who I'm connected to and through, and gratitude as a lens. Finding the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. But knowing our what, our who, and our how isn't going to get it done unless we know our now. This is how we reconcile time. Prioritization is the antidote to nothingness. Prioritization is the antidote to procrastination. Prioritization is the antidote to feeling overwhelmed. If you know your what, your who, and your how, you will know your now because you will know what's important to you. Not to what other people want, what's missing or what you don't want, but what's important to you, and you will prioritize it by the what, the who, and the how. Making every decision easy in your life, ones that are planned, ones that aren't planned, and your sleep. My tomorrow starts today by studying my calendar with attention and intention to get the coincidences. I have an unwinding routine at 9 p.m. So I unwind, I put my mind, my body, and the soul in a position of recovery and access at 9 p.m. So that when I pass out, I am not only recovering and maximizing my life so I don't live it as a tube, food in, food out, roll a boulder to the top of the hill just to have it roll down the next morning. I'm plateauing and growing each day by transcending that information into my what, my who, and my how, determining my now for today. Prioritization. You know, all these people say, if you just have 3 things a day and get it done, you know, Andy Frisella, my boy, just 5 things a day. No, I get as much done as I can under the context. There's more than enough to do. I feel overwhelmed at times, but then I feel blessed because I know I have more options, opportunities, and touches of favor than the linear time frame that I'm given in one day can handle. So therefore, I'm focused in on prioritization so I don't limit myself to 3 things or 5 things. I just get what's done, important things first, and work my way down. And when things that happen that aren't planned happen, I know exactly where to fit it into my linear time frame, the 24 hours of productivity, by being twice as efficient, twice as effective, and twice as statistically successful. There is no work in my life. There's just activity I get paid for. I vacation every single day. I spend a minimum amount of time by prioritizing my non-negotiables, a minimum of an hour a day on my health, a minimum of an hour with my family, 30 minutes with my wife, minimum, 30 minutes with my 12-year-old son, minimum, 2 minutes with my 3 teenage daughters, minimum, 1 minute with my mom, minimum. To heal the relationship every day I have with my mother, I simply tell her 4 things. Mom, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I love you, and appreciate you. I guarantee if you tell your mom those things in a minute a day, your relationship will be healed. She'll stop making you drive an hour to go fix a screen door just to prove that you're happy, healthy, appreciate, and love her. She'll allow you to go pay someone to do it so you can be productive, accessible, and gracious. So I spend a minimum of an hour a day on my health, a minimum of an hour a day on my family, and then a minimum of 10 minutes a day studying my time to reconcile my gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. Now people are, oh, how do you do that? You live your life so, organized and obsessive, compulsive. And what are you talking? You get 24 hours in a day. All I'm talking about is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Then everything else is just executing on what I think, say, do, believe, and feel, aligned with what I want in the future by having realistic objectives today, by being efficient, effective, and statistically successful. I created something when I was young called the Power of 64. I made $1 million in 9 months out of law school because I beat people with time. People said, well, how do you do that? I said, well, I looked at the average person and they talked about being productive 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So even if they were, which most people aren't, even if they were 40 hours productive in a week, and they set my comp plan at $250,000, they set my comp plan when I got out of law school to sell legal research online at $250,000 based on some unrealistic perspective of 40 hours of productivity a week. I decided that I'd beat them with time. I realized that I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know anyone in my territory. I hadn't been in a job before, especially a sales job or a law job. And so that I would have to do 16 hours of productivity a day, 7 days a week. And what if I could be twice as efficient with my time? That 16 hours of productivity in one day become 32 hours of productivity. And what if by practicing, I could become twice as statistically successful with my efforts, turning the 32 hours of productivity into 64 hours of productivity a day? Where most people get 8 hours of productivity in one day, 5 days a week, I now was getting 64 hours, 8 days of productivity in one day, 7 days a week, which was 56 days of productivity a week, over 11 weeks comparatively to anybody else. It would take them 11 weeks to do 56 hours, 56 days of productivity. So when I made over $1 million in 9 months and they gave me all these awards, accolades, and cash, I was laughing and smirking. And one of my vice presidents like, Dave, what's so funny? I said, I didn't even hit my number. I said, what are you talking about? In 9 months, you outsold the next closest person to you 3 times. I said, yeah, but I worked for 10 years. They're like, 10 years? I said, yeah, 64 hours of productivity, 7 days a week. That was 10 years of productivity, over 10 years of productivity in 9 months. I was just beating them with time because I knew my what, my who, my how, and my now. Not as well as I know it today at 54 years old, because what I learned to shift in my paradigm from that world of not enough where I was a victim to the world of just enough to now a world of more than enough was that instead of in search of my why, instead of trying to go get more happy, more healthy, more wealthy, and more worthy, I had figured out what I was doing to interfere with it because I had faith in more than enough of everything for everyone. I had faith that there was something bigger than me that loved me more than my mom that would protect and promote me, even though I didn't understand why I didn't get into the law school I wanted to get into, even though I didn't understand why my wife kept on rejecting me for 20 years before she finally went out with me, just because I didn't understand why I lost over $100 million in 2008, I was being protected and promoted. Because I learned step 5 to apply my why. Every day in a realistic approach with the unrealistic future ahead of me, with the relativity time behind me and in front of me, the linear time that existed today, I apply my why by identifying what I'm doing to interfere with it. I have a need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. And instead of accelerating in the wrong direction, instead of leaning into resisting, going over, under, through, lying, manipulating, cheating, and denying the ego-based consciousness of the need to be separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, starting to worry and to complain, not only creating resistance, but wishing for what I didn't want, I now just identify when I feel that way, when I think that way, when I do that way, when I believe that way. And instead of resisting it, I simply stop. I breathe through my nose, out through my mouth, get back to center, get back to my higher self, get back to my baseline. Don't live your life like a tube, plateau and grow. And I go ahead, then once I get to center and peace, I roll in the right direction by reminding, collecting, and remembering what I want, who I can help, who can help me, how to get it done, prioritizing now by applying my why. See, remember, when you're an ego-based consciousness, when you're interfering with your potential, when you're interfering with more than enough of everything for everyone, your mind, your body, and soul are on fire. Everybody knows when your mind, body, and soul are on fire, you got to stop, you got to drop, and you got to roll. If you can live your life with the values of gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication, if you can live in spirit, inspired, if you can have the faith there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom and is always protecting and promoting you, by effectually utilizing and reconciling time by knowing your what, your who, your how, and your now, and apply your why, I promise you 3 things. You will make a lot of money, you will help a lot of people, and you will have a lot of fun. In other words, you will be happy. And if you all are happy and can empower other people to be happy, to empower other people to be happy, I can meet my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy and change the world, change the collective consciousness. Together we can do this. I appreciate all of you. I'm here of service and of value. Please reach out to me, join my 14-day gratitude challenge, join our team, work with Devin and I, help us all build the wealth and happiness, the worthiness, and the happiness that we all deserve. I appreciate all of you. I'm got about 15 minutes to take questions. I want to thank Devin especially, but thank you all for your time.
Guys, I just want to share one thing. When I heard Dave speak on stage with Bob Proctor, Sugar Ray Leonard, and there's a few other world thought leaders, and Bob Proctor turned over to Dave and said, Dave, I still do not know how you get so much done. This is from Bob Proctor for those that know him. I had the opportunity to shadow Dave at his office, and this is important because there's a lot of people that we follow, and sometimes the scariest thing is you think somebody's your hero, and then when you see them in real life, they're a totally different person. And just as on this call for the past 46 minutes, there wasn't a minute wasted to where he wasn't pumping out that, not even a minute. I can tell you this, throughout his day, there is not a minute wasted. It is from podcast to coaching call to interview. It's a work of art. You have to see it in real life. But the reason why I was so excited to have him come and talk to you, because a lot of us, we get in our own way of I don't have enough time. I don't have this. I don't have that. And to see, it really humbled me to see everything that he got done. And I was talking to one of my clients before this call, and I said, man, it is almost like this guy, he talked about time. It's almost like what he gets accomplished in a week would probably take people 5 to 10 years. And it's all off of the energy, the mindset, all these different ways that he thinks to get us all out of our own way. And when he always said to me, he's blame yourself for everything. The self-accountability to me it really hit me when he said this one line, and I'm going to go into questions, but I don't want you guys to miss this. When he talked about everything's accessible to you, you just have to figure out what you're doing, right, to interfere with that. And what does that do? That comes back to you holding yourself accountable for everything that happens in your life. And when you do that, you will spend no time trying to figure out who was wrong, why, blame, shame, all that stuff. And then you have more time to just go and win, to just go and take action, right? So these are all the different things that he's talking about that make him do ridiculous shit in such a short amount of time. And I didn't want you guys to miss that. So let's open it up to some. I know a lot of you had some questions. I told you guys to prepare. Lysandra, I saw you had your hand raised. Happy birthday, too.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, David, I've been following you for a while. Big fan. I just wanted to say thank you for getting on this call. Today's my birthday. It's the best way to celebrate my birthday when you're on this call. And that's about it. I didn't even have a question. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much for acknowledging that. And tomorrow's my daughter's birthday, so I appreciate everyone who can celebrate everything celebratable, and appreciate the gratitude. Please just continue, share my content, and do good deeds. We'll make this happen. People like you, I appreciate you showing up.
And guys, remember, there are no stupid questions, right? So understand that, right? David Grzybowski, you're up, brother.
Great name. Great David's in this video call. David, I'm curious, as with your sports marketing background, I'm sure you pivoted and adapted over the years. I'm curious, has your attention been grasped to sports collectibles, sports marketing? I'm a big sports collector myself. I have a client who's in that sector. Are you pivoting to your sports marketing with your clients to collectibles, sports cards, trading cards, autographs, stuff like that? What do you think about that industry and where it's going?
Well, I've been involved in that industry for 35 years, and the platforms are changing. The way that I see collectibles are always the market makers, and the margins. And it's a true supply and demand game. as well as an emotional attachment that people give to, a perceived value that they give to. And so if you can truly understand the resource itself, a collectible, by one, the limited amount that are available, two, the authenticity that is available, three, the market itself, meaning the emotional attachment or demand to it, and then most importantly, the area that I've learned by running the most notable sports agency in the world, having one of the biggest sports marketing companies in the world with Hall of Famers, and now partnering even with Marshall Falk, that Devin and I are on the same team with in the financial literacy space. It's the market maker that's most important. You know, and you can see this, the difference between, you know, a Gary Vaynerchuk or a Dan Fleischman down to his own brother. If you don't have the right market maker, then it doesn't matter the emotional attachment or demand if you don't have the right market maker. So when it comes to collectibles, huge proponent, according to timing and risk tolerance that I have, and encouraging people to understand their own timing and risk tolerance, but truly understand the market makers, and the margins when you invest in certain collectibles, whether it's baseball cards, basketball cards, whether it's signed footballs and jerseys or NFTs, all of them determined upon your timing and risk tolerance. And let me take this even a step farther, David, for everyone. I get a lot of questions about investments, crypto, NFTs, collectibles, real estate, stocks, annuities, IULs, list go, startups, Mez round, B, whatever it is. Here's the simple rule of investment. Number one, know your timing and risk tolerance. If you know your timing and risk tolerance, so let's take a lottery ticket, for example. Most people know the timing and risk tolerance of a lottery ticket, right? It's $2 for the lottery ticket. You have a 1 in a billion chance of winning $500 million, and you'll know on Saturday at 8 p.m. So all the timing and risk tolerance there. If that's aligned with your $2 investment, even if you lose your $2 on Saturday, you're happy. See, what happens to people, especially in the crypto, NFT, perspective investments in collectibles, is they go in and they don't know their timing and risk tolerance. So their investment goes up 3 times and they sell it. And then it goes up another 3 times and they're disappointed and think they're a loser or a failure in their investment. Not because they actually are a loser or a failure in the investment, because they don't know their timing and risk tolerance. If you know your timing and risk tolerance up front, you'll always be satisfied with your investment, whether it's a collectible baseball card, basketball card, or whether it's an NFT or a crypto token or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. Those people who know their timing and risk tolerance are always satisfied with when they buy and sell, because they know when they're going to buy and sell, and they are more interested than interesting, and find the people who sit in the situation to tell them, hey, if you buy this annuity, if you buy this IUL, here's the timing and risk tolerance. Is it aligned with your timing and risk tolerance? Terrific. You're going to be satisfied. The reason I got involved with Devin and Marshall Falk in our financial literacy project is that I lost everything, right? I lost over $100 million, over $120 million. And I found out about IULs. And the thing I liked about IULs is, number one, I don't have to pay attention. 2, it's a guaranteed investment. When the market crashes, I get 2%. I get about 60% of the upside. And it's about a 10-year investment that I make year to year. And then the payout is when I need it tax-free, when I get the advantage, whether I'm 65, 75, or 85. And I also can borrow against it 90% at 1% interest and hedge my interest. I know all that. So I don't waste any time with the investment. It's exactly what I wanted. And when the market crashes, I'm laughing. And when the market goes up, I'm laughing, and I'm happy all the time. Unlike how I used to invest, not knowing my timing and risk tolerance, beating myself up on investments that I made 10 times what I invested, and beating myself up for losing everything. Never going to happen. So please take that lesson. I went a little bit farther on your collectibles, but hopefully you'll know the market makers, and the margins. You'll know your timing and risk tolerance, and everybody will be happy with every investment that they make. All right, next question.
All right, we're going to go to Jeremy, Tim Jennings, and then Mike Schofield.
Thank you.
David, thank you so much for being here. I'm also a fan of yours, and it's just really cool to
to hear, your insights on everything. And I learned that timing and risk management in crypto when everything crashed in January, and again with Russia. So, you got to have fun with it. But my question is more about the personal awareness side of things. I woke up one day this year and realized I hated my job. I hated what it was doing to me. I hated how it was handled during the pandemic. I work as a freelance music composer in the film industry, and I pretty much hate everyone in my industry. They're just not nice people. And I wanted to make a change and found my passion again for immersive media that I've been in for 10 years, but in a different way. So I've been following it, but how do you overcome? There's always that fear of failure holding over your head when you're making such a drastic change. And it's not just fear of failure in the job, but fear of failure as a husband. And for me as a father with my second child is due in October. So I'm just like, how does one, I think you understand what I'm asking.
Yeah, for everyone, first we have to identify what we're afraid of, and then we want to spend minutes and moments in that fear. So I've reconciled, and I know the topic or subject matter that Devin gave me was time and how it applies to manifestation of what we want. So in this respect is a classic example. I get afraid every day, right? I have 4 kids. I have 3 daughters, 23, 21, and 18. They can help me have fear in my life, and so for me, the minute I identify fear, I stop, drop, and roll so that I spend minutes and moments interfering with me and the abundant faith that I have. And so what I would do is make a practice of spending less time in fear, not trying to dissolve or dissipate or disappear the fear, because it's always going to be omnipresent, because you have an ego that's there to protect yourself, to fight, flee, feed, or fornicate. Instead, let's take a practice utilizing the 5 daily practices to identify, okay, this is fear. Stop. Don't resist it. Don't out-logic it. Don't out-analyze it. It'll never work. Just stop, breathe, remind, remember, and recollect what I want, who I can help, who can help me, how to get it done, prioritize or reprioritize, and apply my why again. People ask me how I have so much energy. When Devin comes or other people come to shadow me, they're like, dude, I can't even keep up. How are you doing this? I said, because I've learned, everyone has the same power I have. We have enough power in our pinky to light up Manhattan. I've just learned to clear the interference. I used to waste a ton of energy in fear. Now, identify fear and spend minutes and moments in it. It applies to everybody in every circumstance, and you will just be more productive, accessible, and gracious. You'll utilize linear time in the respective energy to have more of it in the right trajectory, instead of accelerating into a void, shortage, or an obstacle and manifesting more of what you don't want.
Thank you.
Good say. Great question, Jeremy. That's what we're here for, man. Guys, dig deep. Like, we got access to Dave, and just don't be afraid. And listen, man, a lot of other people may want to know the answer to your question. Let's get into
it. If you're afraid to ask me a question, just stop, drop, and roll.
There you go. Tim Jennings, my man, come on in.
Thanks for being on, Dave. Listen, I'm going to get right to it. So within Devin's group, within a year, I've been able to build a group of my own group, for that matter. So I'm doing these interviews called Walking and Talking with Tim. And it's all as a result of joining this coaching group and being a part of this community. And it's huge. And I went from Devin saying, hey, man, 30 walks in 30 days to I've already interviewed 50 people and some of the most influential people in South Jersey. In fact, I actually reached out to you, and I still want to interview you. And I'm putting the offer out there again. I will fly to the West Coast to do it. If you're willing. But
yeah,
the question
come to my studio at the stadium or at the Wynn in the lobby. Absolutely, you can interview me. Just email me directly, okay?
You got it. But my real question is about time and prioritization. So my issue these days is prioritizing my time. I'm pretty decent at it, but I wanted to know, do you have a specific application that you're using for it, or that you developed for it, where you're literally checking things off all day long? And do you do that?
I use Outlook calendar, and I have day captains in my business that study every Monday for 4 weeks, every Tuesday for 4 weeks. I have a next day captain that studies and they study it with the lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. So I utilize the calendar, Outlook calendar, as the main primary repository, a centralized repository for efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success, not only utilizing my own attention, intention, and coincidences, but more importantly, the people who surround me from family and associates, so that they're studying my time to say, here's the amount of drive time, this is the person that's on the way that you could stop at. So all the effects or outcomes from the causes that I make, knowing that the biggest misuse of time is between cause and effect, I use my Outlook calendar for the productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Now, Rob Deerdeck, who's a fan and a follower of the Student of the Calendar, he built an app that has actual numerical valuations on and reflective valuation on the time that he spent yesterday to see if what he is doing in his activities are of or constructed of the alignment of his values. That's cool too, but I think you can do it with any calendar. And as long as you have the focus of attention and intention on activity you have planned, you don't have planned sleep, it'll be amazing the quantitative result that you receive. It's probably the most powerful thing I've learned to do, is to be a student of my calendar and incorporate it into my business with calendar captains. If anyone wants to know more about that, email me, because it is probably the best tool that I have and the best process that I've created.
Thank you.
Got it. One more, Dev, and then I got to go to another interview.
Joe, you're in.
Dave, thanks for being on today. I'm going to get right to it. So I work in the hemp space, an industry that just really became legalized in 2018, hemp textiles and building. I have a really big pitch meeting coming up with 2 Harvard graduates who own and operate one of the 50th largest building new home builders in America. Now, going into my pitch, do you think it's more important to paint the whole picture of the concept of the industry and where it's going, or get more into my actual numbers and hard data?
Five things you need to do, and I'll send you these as well. So obviously I have a pitch show. I'd love all of you to apply to be on it, called 2-Minute Drill on Apple TV and Bloomberg. You get $50,000 for prizes for the best pitch. So here's how you create a pitch. Number one, credibility is the most important thing. The minute you lose credibility intentionally or unintentionally by overselling, back-end selling, line manipulating, or cheating, or not knowing the quantitative facts correctly, you put yourself into the worst position, because people will seek what you're not telling them. And what you want to do is have credibility of what you are telling them. So number one, go through a fine-tooth comb of what you're saying and pitching with credibility. 2, emotional attachment. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. You got to find out what they're doing today, what they like and they don't like about it, so that you can pitch how you can be of service or value, or would it help you if I did this? So you can ask them, do you know anyone that can help me? Blank. So 1, credibility. 2, emotional attachment, what they like and don't like about what they're doing today, and how you can be of service or value, or appreciate the differentiator. And then 3, practice, Michael, articulating the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for. Don't rely on the fact that you know, or don't rely on the fact that they went to the Harvard so they can figure out what you know. You got to practice articulating the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, so they get to a mindset of, can you see any reason you won't want to move forward? Credibility, emotional attachment, articulate the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, and then illustrate, number 4, the impact. Impact is so important today. Don't forget to say, hey, this is how it's going to impact you, the investors, the society, the community, the country, the world, or Mars. You got to show your impact. Credibility, emotional attachment, quantifiably articulate the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, and impact, and then utilizing the arsenal of features and benefits. Most people pitch features and benefits and they fail miserably. If you use the capabilities that you have as an arsenal to infuse credibility, emotional attachment, to infuse your articulation of quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, to infuse impact by selecting the aligned, synergistic, and supplementary values and capabilities, skills, knowledge, and desire that you have aligned with those, your statistical success will grow up exponentially. So know your credibility, your emotional attachment, articulate and practice articulating the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for. Illustrate the impact by utilizing the capabilities, features, and benefits as an arsenal to infuse more of each of those aforementioned criteria in a perfect pitch. I promise you, there's no reason you won't be successful if you do these 5 things. I'm happy to send everybody the perfect pitch guide that I created for free, obviously. David@dmeltzer.com. Reach out to me, everyone. I got to get to my next interview. They're pressing me. Let's do this again, Double D. I appreciate everyone. Join Double D and me and my team with our financial literacy team with Marshall Falk. Devin, I'm going to hand it back off to you. I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for asking your questions to impact everybody else. It was all great stuff. Follow back up with him. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. He always delivers really good content. I know a lot of times when you're on, you're like, holy shit, man, this guy just keeps going and going and going. But take a minute to digest, follow his content, the Playbook. He's got an unbelievable podcast. And then, as always, man, just share the call, tag him, and, let him know that we supported him for hopping on this call. But, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys all hopping on. Next week, we have our main community call. We have another guest speaker, Jen Grover, who's a TEDx speaker. She's amazing. She's going to talk about emotional intelligence. So I want to give you guys up to date on that. Have a great week, guys. Let's execute. And, share the call, guys. Thank you.
Dev, before you for Jen Grover, is that next week or the week after?
No, not next week, the following week.
All right, just wanted to clear. All right, thanks, man. Awesome call today. Thank you.
See you guys.